So, my name means beloved, but I'm going to tell you about a time when I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know that that was the name that God had given me for my identity. So, when I first went to Uganda back in 2008, I was met with so much suffering, more than my mind or my spirit could even begin to deal with. And I begged God, please don't ever send me back here. This is too hard. And God said to me, you're going to be back within a year, and I'm going to give you a specific task to accomplish. So 6 months later, I went back. I led a team of Americans. I worked with a team of Ugandans when we got in the country. And I accidentally, by God's grace, started a nonprofit called the Street Child Project. Basically what we did is we were working with children ages 9 and up who were living on the streets full-time with no mom, no dad, no support system whatsoever. A lot of people call these kids orphans, but that's not what we call them. Right after we started the Street Child Project, and we took in about 10 kids who, by the world standards, are completely alone and completely worthless, God started speaking to me about my identity and how I had, up until that point, lived just like an orphan. So right after I started the Street Child Project, I went back to Boston, where I was still a student, and I was hit with the most intense anxiety and depression I had ever seen up until that point in my life. And it was so bad that I couldn't drive, I could barely go to class, I was pretty much paralyzed with fear all the time, and I didn't know what to do. So I called my best friend one night and I said, listen, I know that Jesus is life and the enemy is death, and that's the only thing keeping me from ending my life, because the only thing I want is to die. And she, in her wisdom and in her sweetness, said, I'm going to stay on the phone with you all night, and I'm going to pray for you, and maybe you'll feel better when you wake up in the morning. And I just kind of laughed, because I had felt like that for months and months and months, and I didn't have any hope that in the morning I would feel better. I went to sleep that night and I had a dream where the Lord came to me 3 different times, and he said, Amanda, I hold the keys to life and death. I place them in your hands. What do you choose? And what he was telling me is that I had everything within me. I had all the ability to choose life. All I had to do was really choose it. I refused the key to life twice in my dream, and in the third final time, where the Lord said, I'm only going to ask you one more time, what do you want? I finally screamed, Jesus, at the top of my lungs. And I woke up in my room, fully awake, and the Lord said, I can do something with a life laid down. I can do something if you'll just surrender everything to me. And the first thing I had to surrender was that orphan spirit, the voices in my head that said, you're not worth anything. Nobody wants to be around you. Nobody loves you. You don't have purpose in life. I had to let go of that and embrace the truth that God was singing over me, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that I am created in his image, that I am deeply loved by a Father who gave his Son to get to know me, that I belong in his family, and that there's purpose and calling in my life. Once I began to embrace that, I saw that the kids that we were working with in Uganda, when they had a day where they wanted to run back to the streets, or they wanted to punch their brother in the face, or they wanted to give up, just like I had wanted to give up, they weren't functioning out of anything but being broken. And they had just yet to come into their identity as being beloved. It gave me so much grace to be able to relate to them because of the immense grace that the Father had towards me. What I learned is that God doesn't see us first as sinners. He sees us first as sons. And it's not because I'm deserving, but it's because I'm a daughter that he loves me. And that's changed everything. My name is Amanda Davis. I'm 25 years old. I am more than an orphan. I am a child of God.